Hello, everyone. My name is Letty and Letty Toombs, and I was going to talk today about Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson is one of the first to give recognition to Black History Week. It was called Black History Week. We're going to do his timeline, Carter G. Woodson's timeline. Okay, he was known as the father of Black history. Woodson was born in 1875, died in 1950, was the son of former slaves, and understood the importance of gaining a proper education when striving to secure and maximize one's divine right of freedom. So in 1875, early life, Carter Godwin Woodson was born on December the 19th, 1875 in New Canton, Virginia, to formerly enslaved people, Anna and James Woodson. He was the fourth of 7 children. Young Woodson worked as a sharecropper and a miner to help the family. And in 1892, his early life as a coal miner. He moves to West Virginia to work as a coal miner at 17. And then I guess he worked there from 1892 to 1897, his early life in education, because he, even though he entered high school late, he makes up for lost time, graduated in less than 2 years. So after attending Brea College, he graduates in less than 2 years, and after attending Brea College in Kentucky, Woodson works as an education superintendent for the U.S. government in the Philippines. He's in the Philippines now. And so in 1908, the University of Chicago, he enrolls at the University of Chicago and receives a second bachelor's degree and a master's degree in European history in the spring of 1908. 1912, Howard University. Okay, now we got Carter becomes the second African American after W.E.B. Du Bois to receive a PhD from Harvard University and the first child of enslaved parents to earn a doctorate in history. Okay, in 1915, this is when he wrote his first book. He published The Miseducation of the Negro. That was his first book. And that was in 1915. On September the 9th, 1915, he founders Association for the Study of Negro Life and the History in Washington, D.C. He even organized a group. While he was teaching high school, today known as Association for the Study of African Americans' Life in History. Okay, so when he founded it, was called Association for the Study of Negro Life in History. That's when he was in Washington. That's when he first founded it. But today is known as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. That's ASALH. It is the oldest organization dedicated to studying and promoting Black history. In 1916, he published the first issue of the Journal of Negro History. Then in 1918, he moves to Washington, D.C., where he taught African American history, where he taught American history, English, French, and Spanish languages at the M Street School, known as Paul Laurence Dunbar Senior High School. And then he worked as a principal at the Armstrong Manual Training School. That was in 1918. Carter Woodson went on in 1920. He becomes dean at the School of Liberal Arts and head of the graduate faculty at Howard University. That was in 1920. He becomes the dean of the School of Liberal Arts and the head of the graduate faculties at Howard University. Then in 1922, Woodson buys a home at 1538 9th Street Northwest in the Shaw's neighborhood of Washington, D.C. Dr. Carter G. Woodson's home was designated as a national landmark in 1976 for his national significance in African American culture heritage. The National Park Service is renovating it with plans to reopen it to the public in 2025. So it should be open or soon if it's not. And in 1926, Negro History Week. He founds Negro History Week to be observed in February in honor of the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. This is what Carter said. They was going to observe it in February. So in 1930s, his home, which is Carter's home, serves as the headquarters for the ASNLH, known as the ASALH. It was also where he ran Associated Publishers. Okay, a publishing house focused on African American culture and history at a time when many other publishers wouldn't accept, their works that was on those topics. So they had to get their own publishing company because that was the only way they could get their topics out. Okay, in 1937, this was regarding the Negro History Bulletin. In 1937, at the urging of Mary McLeod Bethune, Woodson established the Negro History Bulletin, which focused on the annual theme. The Negro History Bulletin was a monthly newsletter for high school teachers with articles providing ideas for lessons on African American history. So at the ASALH still publishes this educational resource as Black History Bulletin. So ASALH still publishes this educational resources as the Black History Bulletin. Okay. So in 1940s, a time of growth, Woodson continued to publish and is active in civil rights, including the National Association for Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, anti-lynching efforts. During this time, the ASNLH, known as ASALH, steadily grows, establishing branches in every major northern city and dozens of cities and small towns across the South. Such growth ensured that Black History Week did not die with Carter G. Woodson. 1950 was his death. Dr. Carter G. Woodson dies in his living quarters at the Association's headquarters in Washington, D.C. on April 3rd, 1950, at the age of 74. Okay? So now we know who organized it. But then the first president to recognize it was Gerald Ford, President Gerald Ford. Let me see. Yep, President Gerald Ford did. He was the first president to recognize it. Okay. Yeah, February the 10th, 1976, President Gerald R. Ford issued a message recognizing Black History Month, becoming the first president to do so. The moment was decades in the making. In 1926, historian, author, and activist Dr. Carter G. Woodson introduced Negro History Week, but Carter was the first president to recognize it. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Have a good one.